In this video, traders, we're going to look at, do the very best trades work right away? Stay tuned. Hey traders, warm welcome to you. Thank you for joining me. All right, so a question we ask ourselves, actually a question I ask myself quite a lot, and I go back, look through the data, I look through all the trades I've taken and go, what is the real answer to this? And you know what? The real answer is it depends on what you're trading, but bear with me because that's not the total answer. There's something we can add to that to help us give us a little bit of an extra edge. So let me look about this. Let's look at the scenarios. So the scenarios are this, right? You have a trade, it comes down, you get your entry, you're in the trade, and two things happen. One, it goes in your direction straight away. One, it stops you out straight away. Or the other one is that it sits there, does a little bit in your favor, comes back, maybe hovers around your stop level, which can be a bit painful sometimes, admittedly, can't it? But if it's sitting there, not doing a lot, that's kind of frustrating. You're looking at it, you think, come on, you're going to get on with it, you're going to do anything. And especially if you're sitting there watching it, it's not really conducive to kind of relaxation and just letting it do its thing. We get better at it with time, we get better at being able to walk away and just leave our stop, etc. But is there something about that action that should be taken into account and go, you know what, it's not working right away? Now listen, I think, this is my opinion, and guys, please feel free, add to the comment section below what you think on this. If you're trading, experienced trader, or whatever experience level you're at, always interested to hear what you guys have got to say. When you take a trade, it's going to depend very much on the type of trade you're taking, okay? So if we look at two types of scenario here that we're buying a market low, we've got one here where we have quite an aggressive move to the downside. We put in a low, then again we pull back up, we put another low in, fakes out and starts to go up to the upside. Versus same kind of thing, same order of magnitude of move, same price level at the bottom, except this time we get a little bit of a rounding type bottom and this kind of classical trade if you're looking at your charting textbooks. Okay, so that versus that. Now, it's pretty self-explanatory, but we'll go into a bit more depth. If you are trading for a specific type of play, i.e. you think that's exhaustion, it's a retest that fakes. Now, if the type of market is very got a lot of momentum, it's got a lot of volatility, got a lot of jerkiness to it. You know the score. If you're watching the market as well, you know what it's like. Kind of blast to lows, little pauses, blast, pull back up, aggressive rallies, and all that kind of supply demand swinging back and forth. I love those kind of markets. They're my favorite types of markets. Don't get them all the time, of course, unfortunately, but they're great because you can really read those turns and get on it. That thing you want to work right away. You don't want to give that. Well, for me, I don't want to give that a moment. If I'm reading this price action right, and fortunately, it's one of the things that I'm good at in trading is watching, looking at those levels, seeing if that turning point's right, grabbing that sweet spot as low to that low or near as I can be. Obviously never going to get a low tick, but in that region, if I read that right, I want it to work right away because the market is in the mode of, hey, that is a very quick opportunity and there's a cheap price. It should be a cheap price. It's a little misprice, if you like, a wholesale price. It's stretched out, bang, straight back up. That shouldn't revisit that level. If it does, then it's not as much of a bargain as you thought it was, right? Compared to a market that's grinding lower and then kind of grinds back up. This is why I avoid these guys. If you're a subscriber, I talk about these kind of rounding bottoms. I don't like them that much because I don't feel that's much of an edge for me. I find it difficult to read that, so I avoid these as much as possible. I like this kind of stuff. We don't always get what we want, do we? We have to sometimes work with what we've got and kind of work around it. So if you're in this scenario, let's say you come up with something, which you can do as well. You don't necessarily get this extension, that little stretch that you can grab and kind of just reading that price action tape that you can on here, which is lovely. On here, sometimes it kind of sits here, and then you kind of have to draw some lines and go, right, let me frame it more structurally. Let me see it break the high. Let me see it kind of go. Now, that might take a long time to do, and that's the sort of trade that you have to give time. You can't expect that to work because the market conditions before it got to that has been very slow. It's been very grinding. It's kind of probed that level. It's pulled up. It's probed again. There's no real supply-demand imbalance. If you imagine the two seesaws, yeah, you've got this one, which is like boom, 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 bang, right to the low side, up to the high side, back to the low side, up to the high side. Pretty significant swings in supply and demand. Move over to this one, you've got kind of little bit of supply. It's never really extreme on the bump stops, is it? It's just kind of there. And then it just sort of sits there and does this at the bottom, and then it kind of does this a little bit more into demand. So you don't get those extreme moves that are easier to get on if you're a price action type trader. So the answer to this question, the initial question was, do the best trades work right away? If you're in this type of market environment where you are probing to levels, coming back, you don't see the levels for a while again, probe to levels, come back, this kind of stuff, yes, they should. This kind of double bottom trade, this exhaustion type trade, same if you're trading momentum ignition. Momentum ignition, we talk about this kind of thing. If you have this scenario, a bull flag, that needs to work right away. If it doesn't, it's not the thesis of the trade. The thesis of the trade is I'm getting a momentum while it's igniting. I don't want it to be messing around. So in that case, if it does that, I want to dump it. And many times I've done that myself. I've been in a trade where I've wanted that momentum. I've done this and it's kind of sat here and accepted the level. No deal. The point was I was catching that extension, catching that move. And in fact, the very best trades do work right away in this scenario. They come down, grab your limit, grab whatever you're doing, whichever way you're trading it, pop up, and then they might hover a little bit above here before they go again. But the real ones will do that and they'll go again straight away. So they work immediately, and you can choose whether to scale out, because of course there could be kind of a second move down here. You can't rule that out when you're taking that first kind of push to lows, but at least you can play around with it and do something with it. This you've got to sit with. You can't expect it to work right away because it's ground down, hovered at lows, creeping back up, might creep to lows. This can get you in trouble, guys. Last kind of mention here is it can get you in trouble because it can grind and grind and grind. And you think, oh, I'm okay with it. So this is why personally I prefer to wait for it to show some strength. I don't like waiting for strength in this. I like to try and judge the extension, the extreme to the low side. On this, I prefer to wait to see the supply demand change, maybe then get a little rock back. So if we zoomed in on this, I prefer to see this kind of move, breaking out of maybe a resistance level, then testing under, then going again and then working off that level. Not the greatest, not the cleanest, but then again, if it sat there and did this for a while, I'd have to expect it. I couldn't be annoyed at it. I couldn't expect it to work right away because the actual pattern and the flow of the market and the tide of the market is suggesting that this might take a long time to mature out as opposed to this more erratic type of thing. So most times I say yes, do the best trades work right away because these are nice, but sometimes if the conditions are there, you've got to kind of sit with it and play the game. All right, guys, appreciate your support if you're subscribed to the channel. If you're not, then hit the subscribe button for more videos like this, about setup, strategies, mindset, all this kind of stuff. And if you've got any comments, always love to hear what you guys have got to say in the comments section below. Thumbs up if you like this kind of stuff. Keep the risk managed. Of course, the option below. If not, it'll be on one of the other videos as well. If you're into this kind of stuff, you like this kind of stuff, then it might help you out. All right, guys, take care. See you next one. Bye-bye.